Yoshi's Island is one of my happy places, the go-to game I play whenever I'm having a bad day. It brings me such nostalgia for my childhood, and that's not even because I played it a lot as a kid. I never owned a Super Nintendo, so the only time I got to play it was when visiting friends. There's just something about it that captures the childlike feelings of innocence and joy that I experienced at a young age, and I think a lot of that something has to do with the music. From the very beginning, music was an important part of Yoshi's identity. His grand debut as Mario's loyal steed was in 1990's Super Mario World. He could gobble up enemies, gives Mario an extra shot at life, and helps him to safely make dangerous jumps. Unlike some of Mario's other power-ups though, there's no dedicated musical theme when riding Yoshi, as at any point Mario might fall off and hop back on, interrupting the flow of the music. Instead, an elegant solution was devised in which a layer of bongos is added to the mix whenever Mario is Dino back. This is called dynamic layering, or vertical reorchestration, or adaptive stemming, or any combination of those words really. I've talked about it endlessly on this channel, but Yoshi was one of the very first uses of this technique, and definitely the most famous from this era. So when Yoshi was promoted to main character for Super Mario World 2, this idea was built upon. As you make your way through the 6 areas of Yoshi's Island, the map theme adds a new layer of instrumentation for every new world that you reach. This provides you with a sense of progression as you help the Yoshi clan complete their quest. The island setting of the game easily lent itself to the tropical vibe established by the bongos in Super Mario World, and they do reappear in the sequel. Koji Kondo also took this opportunity to study African music and incorporated some of its rhythmic elements. But there was also one other major influence for the soundtrack. 1994 saw the release of Donkey Kong Country, with its 3D pre-rendered graphics unrivaled on the Super Nintendo. There wasn't a single thing that was hand-drawn in that game, says Brendan Gunn, a lead programmer on DKC. Nintendo fancied this style and pressured the Yoshi's Island team to adopt the technology, but director Takashi Tezuka resisted, saying, "Probably every game from here on out is going to look more like Donkey Kong Country." That being the case, we decided to go against the trend one last time and make something with a heartwarming, handmade style. The final art style was completely hand-drawn and inspired by Yoshi's job as babysitter to the infant Mario. The game looks like a child's drawing, complete with bright pastel colours and crayon textures. Lessons on the game's mechanics are written on chalkboards too. The game is styled off the life experience of a child, and the music too very obviously draws from this decision. The opening prologue is presented as a bedtime story, set to a lullaby on a wind-up music box. While this is the most obvious connection to the childish style, I feel other tracks capture the memories of childhood in more subtle ways. When you reach the end of a level, the goal and score music isn't your standard victory fanfare, but sounds more similar to circus or carnival music. It sounds like you just won a prize, evoking that childlike excitement over a small victory. The mid-boss theme sounds inspired by ballpark music, perhaps reminiscent of a family outing to the baseball. And this this makes sense when you consider how Yoshi defeats his enemies, by throwing eggs at them like a baseball pitcher. Kondo incorporates a wide range of influences to achieve an overall feeling of childhood, and the result is a cohesive soundtrack that also traverses many genres. From African and tropical vibes, to lullabies, ragtime, and he even manages to outdo Nobu Uematsu at his own game of rocking boss themes, with the most metal piece of music to ever come out of the Super Nintendo. Yeah, that's in a Yoshi game. This assortment of genres would become another important staple in the series going forward. For Yoshi's story, composer Kazumi Totaka wrote one main theme for the game and transformed it into a different genre for every level. Whether that's some Revolver-esque psychedelica, a reggae track, or a straight-up hip-hop banger. I miss the 90s. This would set the format for the soundtracks of future Yoshi games. Yoshi's Island DS and Yoshi's New Island both have one main theme with variations on it for each level. Story also built on the child aesthetic of Island, despite the absence of Baby Mario. Though it's less inspired by childhood, more just made for children. This time it's in the form of a pop-up book, the game is super easy, and the music in true Totaka fashion is cute and quirky. The Yoshis also sing songs now, and this is perhaps Kazumi Totaka's biggest contribution to the Yoshi sound. Yoshi. He gave Yoshi a voice. In fact, his own voice. Every and is Totaka himself, and he even re-recorded it all as recently as Super Mario Galaxy 2. It also sounds like the singing could be an actual voice recording too, though it's hard to tell. Totaka imagines the Yoshis like a group of children all singing off-key, and this would lead to the most infamous sound in the series. (2014's Yoshi's New Island takes all its cues from the original Island and Story games. From Island, it obviously borrows the gameplay and art style, but also reuses Koji Kondo's Lullaby, now sounding like it's being played by a child on a dulled toy xylophone. And it also copies the dynamic map progression idea too. From Story, it takes the theme variation for levels and the chorus of singing Yoshis, though perhaps not so successfully. Rather than lifelike voices, New Island uses a cacophony of annoying instruments, kazoos, a fat brassy horn, and squeaky toys. There is zero harmony between the instruments, and they all clash together on the same beats. And instead of the simple, cute melodies in Story, New Island's melodies are obnoxious and double down on the dissonance by emphasizing the most uncomfortable of notes. If Yoshi's Island was seemingly inspired by childhood, and Story was made for kids, then New Island sounds composed and performed by children. Perhaps a great idea on paper, but unfortunately it doesn't make for the most enjoyable of listening experiences. But it's not all downhill for Yoshi. Tomoyo Tomita responded with a great, but ultimately very safe soundtrack to 2015's Yoshi's Woolly World. However, it doesn't feel very much like Yoshi. The yarn motif that is carried over from Kirby's Epic Yarn seemingly overrides the childhood theme, and the music is less Yoshi sounding than ever before. With its breezy, finger-picked guitars, it has a slight country western vibe. It actually reminds me a lot of the royalty-free music you'd hear in the back of YouTube vlogs. Though with every kid having their own YouTube channel nowadays, perhaps this is the new kids' music. There is a new Yoshi game coming for the Nintendo Switch, which seems to return the series to its childlike roots. It has an arts and crafts aesthetic similar to Yoshi's Story, and the trailer music features a recorder, the one instrument that every child learns how to play in primary school. It's interesting to see how multiple composers have approached the same theme of childhood in different ways. The soundtrack to Yoshi's Island resonates with me the most because it tried to evoke not just a childish sound, but the memories and feelings associated with childhood. I love music boxes because I associate the sound with feelings of comfort, safety, and my favourite pastime, sleeping. I don't know if Koji Kondo was actually inspired by trips to the carnival or baseball as a kid, but his music for Yoshi's Island evokes in me those memories, whether he or I experienced them or not. Good art draws from personal experience. You can use anything in your own life to inspire your work and allow it to resonate with others. No matter how seemingly normal or boring your life is, there is always a unique perspective that your experience in life gives you, that you are able to infuse with your work to make it different. And for me, it took a game about multicolored dinosaurs seemingly made for children to realize that. Thank you so much for watching. I feel so indebted to my wonderful patrons, whose generous support is allowing me to continue making these videos into the new year. All patrons get early access to videos as well as exclusive channel updates. Some get extra thoughts and things that were cut from the video, and top tier supporters get their names shown on screen right now. Special shout out to all of the brand new top tier patrons who have backed me since the last video. I apologise in advance for all of the mispronunciations. James Huffman, Chevrolet, Margarita Molina, Semyum Bibbo, Anthony Reeves, Joseph, Alex C, Ray Durrant, Guillaume Arias, Maggie Painter, Valtir Ingporsen, Faye P, Matt Towles, Kara Zheng, Paxton Lancaster, Blue Sparks, Ian Robinson, Dennis Schubert, Janae Lauren, and Jessica Fang.